Hi friends, your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 8. Alright, so basically at this point, the basement crew has been fighting the Mind Flayer directly up in the center of Starcourt Mall. And finally, Hopper, Murray, and Joyce all come together and get into position to actually trigger the self-destruct, right, on the laser that is being used to cut a hole back into the Upside Down, right, by the Russians to reopen the gate, right? So so basically, Hopper and Murray and Joyce have all commandeered uniforms, and they're all disguised as Russian soldiers. They finally get into position, and Joyce is in the control room, and she needs to turn two keys, right, to trigger it. Murray is in position. He's hiding because he's not. Actually, he's handling it. I think he was handling another part of the sequencing. And then finally, Hopper actually is engaged one more time by Grigori. So Grigori is this Russian strongman, and he is like the Arnold Schwarzenegger clone from Terminator. And Jim Hopper and Grigori have been having this fight throughout the entire season, right? They fought no less than 4 times in the season. And this is the final battle, right? And so the two of them throw down physically, and finally, Hopper is able to throw him literally into the gears of the laser, and he's physically destroyed, right? And then at that point, there are Russian agents these Russian soldiers rushing in, and they're all getting positioned to kill Joyce, Hopper, and Murray, right? But Joyce actually uses a belt and gets everything set up so that she can turn the two keys all by herself, right? But then she looks over and she's like, "Hey, Hopper, I'm ready to go, but I don't, but if we wait until you run back," and all of this is said with the eyes, right? Then the soldiers will come in here and they'll shoot me, and everything we did was for naught. And Jim nods and is like, "I understand. Listen, turn the key," right? And so Joyce turns the key, knowing that it will self-destruct the laser, and knowing it will kill Hopper, right? Hopper knows it. Joyce knows it, that she can self-destruct the laser at this point, but also it is going to kill Hopper, right? And so she has this moment where she needs to take this this action, and she decides to destroy the laser, destroy the Russia's attempt to open the gate, and also kill Hopper. And so she turns the key, and it explodes massively, and it really does look like Hopper is killed, right? Like, it's pretty wild, right? So and the moment this happens, so one, the laser is destroyed, okay? But then also above, we immediately smash cut to the top, and that big 50-foot Mind Flayer, which is now destroyed. Billy Hargrove killed him, and he sacrificed his life to save his sister Max and the rest of her friends. At this point, the Mind Flayer is released, and ready to kill everybody. But the moment the gate closes, or actually the laser explodes, the connections to the Upside Down are disrupted, and the Mind Flayer, this gigantic amalgamated flesh mountain, simply literally disintegrates it just disassembles into a mindless pile of goo, right? Now, one thing that was really sad is, like, the people of Hawkins, they're not reassembled. They're all dead, which I love the teeth that this show has. It really has. It plays for keeps, man. This show is very, very good. All right. At that point, we move to with another thing I really like that the Duffer Brothers do. They have the Shire ending, right? It's not just like, oh, and then the ring went into the mountain and that was it. Like, you go back to the Shire and you see what happens, right? So we do exactly that. We go back to Hawkins, and it's like 3 months. It's actually, I think it's a month later, right? And what do we see? Well, the core four are back where they're supposed to be. Okay, so Nancy and Jonathan are back together. Will, Dustin, Mike, and Lucas all go back to their families. But now 11, previously she was living in Hopper's cabin in the woods, but Hopper's gone. He is assumed dead. Now there's no body, and nobody's looking for a body because the destruction was so massive, it would have incinerated. Like, everybody assumes that his body was incinerated, right? So at this point, 11 is now living with Joyce. Now this gets weird. Again, the Duffer Brothers are incredible, but there's some missteps in the writing. Why on earth would you give another child to a family that could barely handle the two that they have, right? Like Joyce Byer, like, why wouldn't you add 11 to Wheeler's family? Well, I can actually, you know what? That does make sense. I'm sorry. Mike Wheeler's dad is such a putz that he would not take in that child, right? He is a hard worker. He does support his family, but he's not overly generous. He's not even generous. He's not even minimally generous, right? He does for he and his, right? And you could say he's selfish, but a lot of people don't even do that. There's a lot of deadbeat dads out in America. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. There's a lot of, Mike Wheeler's dad is taking care of his wife. He's taking care of Nancy, and he's taking care of Mike. They don't want for anything, right? And not every husband in America is doing that much, right? So I think you could write a book on Mike Wheeler's dad. I really find that a very interesting subject. So, but at this point, 11 goes to Joyce Byers and is living with Jonathan and Will, and with Jonathan and Will and Joyce. Okay, but the Byers are moving. They are moving to California. Joyce had been thinking about this for a while, and she was like really frustrated because Hawkins is legit dangerous. Hawkins is a mess. Hawkins truly is a hot mess, right? It's a hellmouth. Like what do you know? Like, who's going to want to continue to live there, right? And the answer is like only people who are truly oblivious, which is exactly what's going on with Mike Wheeler's dad. He's pretty oblivious, right? So basically, and we get this scene where Mike does come over and, says goodbye to 11, and 11 reads a letter that Hopper wrote to her. And it's again, it's kind of a Dufferism where you're kind of like, this was written because the character died. I don't think Hopper would have written a letter thinking he was going to die, because Hopper just didn't. That's not the way Hopper rolled. But it's nice, and it's a little bit of, hey, I love you, you're my daughter, I'm your dad, whatever, right? So there's that. And then, and then the other thing that we realize is 11, her powers are fully gone. She is cooked. Like, her powers are over, right? Or actually, yeah, they're gone. Like, she can't even move a tin can at this point, right? And then at that point, they all go. They're moving to California. So the Byers are literally leaving California, including 11. Finally, the last scene of the show is actually in Russia, and Russia has a demigorgon that they are feeding humans to, right? And there's one of the Russian soldiers says, not the American, don't feed the American to the demigorgon. So we don't see Hopper, but we are assured that Hopper is alive. So at this point, we realize Hopper is imprisoned in Russia, okay? And that's the end of season 3. And that is the end of season 3, episode 8, the Battle of Starcourt. And that is the end of season 3 for Stranger Things. And we'll continue on to Stranger Things season 4, which is everything that comes before the last season, which is Stranger Things 5, which we're about to get very, very soon. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.